I've had a lot of respect of Angry Joe, and when he's basically done a lot or said also a lot of stuff that the games journalists and people on YouTube haven't done, and done very good reviews and been an advocate for gamers and consumers in general. And I've respected him for that, but now it seems that this guy has done a 180 because it's a franchise he loves and refuses to face reality of things, and he's going after or not only his audience but the audience of Battlefield 5, and he's just ignoring reality by saying it's not the SGW fault, by inserting politics into a game where it doesn't need to be. And so it's just really, really sad to see someone falling from grace like Angry Joe has. And we're gonna go through the two recent videos he's done, because it's just sad seeing someone go from a consumer advocate, a consumer advocate, who is time and time again said don't pre-order games, and now he's suddenly surprised people aren't pre-ordering it when EA themselves have been saying if you don't like it, don't buy it. So, without further ado, let's go through both of the videos of Angry Joe.
Well, EA, you done f***ed it up again with my favorite franchise this time, which you've done before with Battlefield Hardline, but now it's the mainline Battlefield series. News stories are coming out all over the place right now. Analysts report Battlefield 5's pre-order sales are weak. They are weak. Battlefield 5's so far lower, below Black Ops 4, Red Dead Redemption 2. This outlet here. Pre-orders are reportedly very weak. Well, I think one angry gamer gets it wrong here. They never said very weak. You're throwing that word in there, and that's not correct. They said that it's just lower. So what is weak? Is weak 100 million less? Is it 500? How much dollars is it less? $100 million less? $50 million less? We don't really know, but we do know that the pre-order sales are lower in comparison to Call of Duty and to Red Dead Redemption's 2. Now, why? Why is this happening? Well, if you listen to YouTube and certain channels on YouTube, I watched 4 videos in a row just now because, I care about the Battlefield 5 franchise. And it sucks to watch this video because they're celebrating. They are celebrating the destruction and the lower sales of the Battlefield 5 franchise due to those goddamn liberals and those social warriors putting women in Battlefield. The reason why to them that Battlefield 5 is having lower pre-orders is because there are women on the box, there are women featured prominently in the trailers, and there are women in multiplayer.
No, again, I went through this on my podcast, and it's not just because there are women in the game. If there are interesting stories that are being told with women in World War II, I'm all for it. It would be interesting, like DDR Freak said on my podcast. It would be interesting to see a woman who's maybe transporting something and suddenly finds herself on the front lines. Like that is something I would be interested to see, or having a Russian sniper suddenly being caught in the middle of things, and she's suddenly on the front line. Tell interesting story, but the way they premiered the game, with the way they showed this off, is that they just put women front and center in a World War II game. And they've always claimed to be historical accurate, and to be as authentic as possible. And in this trailer, you have a woman with an amputated hand, with as a hook trying to shoot things, and being the most prominent thing, and you have a woman as the cover for the game. That is pandering to me. That is inserting politics into a game that doesn't need to have that sort of identity politics. You're completely missing the point here, Angry Joe. It's people want to stop with this pandering stuff. We went through the tweets. We have there have been people from DICE having defended to putting women prominently into games because they wanted to use identity politics as a shield instead of actually making something out of it. You can have awesome stories with women. You can do so much interesting stuff with women, especially in World War II settings. It doesn't have to be 100% true in a World War II settings, because not all Second World War games use stories from that. But you can use the setting and tell interesting stories. But instead, we just get this thrust upon us where we don't have a choice. And they have come out and told us, if you don't like this, don't buy it. And you're basically a misogynist for not buying it. But let's hear more, Angry Joe. Let's hear more how we are just snowflakes.
Is he going to go make more money somewhere else? That's a possibility. Nobody knows what's next for him or why exactly he left. But conservatives on YouTube will tell you that the reason why he left is because there is lower pre-orders because of the women in Battlefield 5, and because they said accept it or don't buy it, and people actually went out and didn't buy it. But is that the real reason? I mean, objectively, or is it closer to this? You're putting Battlefield 5 in between one of the biggest Call of Duties and the biggest video game release this year. From a little-known developer, a little-known game, from a small indie publisher called, Rockstar. I don't think many people buy their games. It's not like it's Grand Theft Auto 6, essentially. No, it couldn't be that. It couldn't be that, October is notoriously such a filled month that I call it Broketober, and I can't freaking possibly review every single freaking game in October, and then it's sandwiched in between two of the biggest releases, not to mention all the other games that come out around the same time. No, it couldn't be that. It couldn't be that this Battlefield 5 is the most poorly marketed Battlefield I've ever seen in my history of following the Battlefield franchise. And you guys know how much I love Battlefield. It was awful. I mean, yeah, there was a 3-hour closed door, behind the door session for influencers, press, what do they call it, game changers, outlets. It was fucking amazing. 3 hours of detailed information. They showed GIFs and animation breakdowns, and I was like, please just release this to everybody. Instead, no, they did the shitty Trevor Noah presentation, which was fucking awful. It really didn't give you the details. It really didn't show off the game. It was more concerned about mimicking the Daily Show with Trevor Noah on there in like a news report program with awful transitions. In comparison, Call of Duty had a great show on stage, even though they're ripping out features. And you would think, so you've got your EA is essentially pulling another Titanfall 2. Only this time they're fucking up one of their mainline franchises, Battlefield 5. They're jamming it in the middle of the biggest Call of Duty, right? And one of the biggest releases of the year. And this is why, in my opinion, pre-order sales are lower. Okay? The people that play Call of Duty, they've really done... Activision has really done their research. I thought that this year maybe some Call of Duty people would come over to Battlefield 5 because they realized they're getting less for more. But no, all they had to do was double the amount of zombie modes and add Battle Royale, even though they probably fucked up development really hard and they're scrambling. They had to pull out single player. And this was the year that I thought Battlefield 5 would probably crush Call of Duty.
Joe, that is really recently. That is still not evidence that there are any other reasons. This guy basically saw, my main game, which I've been designing for the last 10 years, is looking to fail, and I don't want to get the brunt of it, and I want to go somewhere else. And where is the consumer advocacy? Why are you defending trying to excuse the bad pre-order sales, and trying to just shill for EA, and tell, oh, it's not because the game is bad or what EA said is bad, it's because of other things. But they basically, you read it out loud, you had it on your screen. People don't want to buy this game. They're not interested because of what I said. There's too much pandering in this game. As far as from what we've seen, there's just too much focus on politics, which shouldn't belong in a game unless it's some sort of theme of the game. But it's a shooter. And we know Battlefield has not been well known to talk about war in a very deep matter in their stories. And I mean, you're just ignoring reality yet again. EA has said don't buy the game, and you're now somehow surprised. After how many years have you advocated for people not to buy EA's crap? How many years have you tried to have you exposed with a microtransaction, day one DLC, and all of this stuff? You even made a big video about 10 reasons why Mass Effect failed, or whatever it was called, and now you're surprised that people have just there are just enough of all of this crap. And when the EA company has come out and basically given them the middle finger, are you really that surprised that people are just fed up and don't want to buy this game? Really? You're really, really reaching here, and you're also trying to strawman people's arguments. I mean, it doesn't really seem like you understood what people's arguments are, and people aren't rejoicing. People are basically seeing this unfold and seeing, oh, this is karma. Things are going back to bite you in the ass if you insult your audience. It happened to Star Wars. It happened to Ghostbusters. There are so many recent instances of the people behind either the games or movies, or just executives and the company going out after the fans and shitting on them, and people are just had enough. They've had enough. Why aren't you cheering this? That people aren't just accepting this and buying the game. They're not doing what everyone expects them to. You're some consumer advocate, dude.
And they're not going to spend a goddamn dime of their $60 on women being in World War II, because that insults their great grandfather who fought in World War II. No women in World War II, in my fictional World War II. Ha 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 to EA. Victory for Not My Battlefield, hashtag MAGA, Red Hats. Victory against social justice warriors. But is it really that? Is those segment of people who don't want women in there, who want a extremely historically accurate World War II experience in Battlefield 5, is that really what translates into the most lost revenue? I don't know. Maybe. Let's look at it. So they say that the evidence is this: EA basically shit on the community, which they do all the time, and they deserve sometimes to get some backlash. They said, here's the backlash on women: accept it or don't buy the game. So they are laughing their asses off at these guys who said, if you don't like women in Battlefield 5, don't buy it. And now they are cheering the fact that there are lower pre-orders and that pre-orders are weak. And then they also draw a parallel to chief design officer Patrick Sutherland leaving the company. They're saying, well, the pre-orders have been weak, so that must be why this guy got let go. They didn't want him there anymore. In fact, he was the chief design officer over 12 years. So I actually, here we can both agree on something. We can make this crossover that I'm glad this guy is fucking gone, okay? Because he was terrible. This is the guy that saw how much money was being made in Madden Ultimate Team and FIFA Ultimate Team, just over $600 million, $800 million annually, yearly. And then he said, let's go to our other games. Let's go to Battlefield. Let's go to Star Wars Battlefront. Let's do Need for Speed, all of our games, and inject microtransactions into that shit too. No! And it blew up in his face when the Star Wars community said, fuck off. And the Star Wars community rallied and got Disney involved and really upset things. Now, this could be, him leaving could be blowback from that. And trust me, I've seen people on those 4 videos I watched like, oh, this guy's going broke. He's got to explain to his wife selling his house and car. That's actually not true. This guy made millions of dollars while he was there. And it may be that he's not leaving the company because of what you think he is leaving the company. If you do a little bit more research here, you'll see that the publisher really wanted him to stay. They gave him a $20 million bonus to this guy. Why? Well, back in June. That is so recent. They said they paid him a $20 million bonus partly for the purpose of supporting a longer-term retention of this guy. And he said, no, peace out. You know, this is I'm taking the money and I'm leaving.
So really, all of the critics are now conservative. Citation needed, because I'm on the left and I'm currently really hating what you're doing. Gamergate as well, left-leaning. Center libertarian, what you would call classic or liberal for the most part. There are, of course, outliers. But for the most part, you're, again, strawmanning. I'm not too familiar with what direction Quartering is leaning, because you showed his video, and you probably watched that as well before this video. And you're just assuming stuff about and using it as a pejorative, because you don't even know if these people are MAGA or Trump supporters. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not even a citizen of the U.S. So and I don't even I couldn't even vote for Trump, and I'm not even like the biggest supporter of him. I don't even have a MAGA hat or anything like that. And for you to say that people who are big fans of the franchise of Battlefield, you don't think that Battlefield would sell well? 2 years ago, when Battlefield 1 came out, it was released alongside Call of Duty as well, and it sold well. So your assumption, like people who play Red Dead and play Battlefield, they don't necessarily overlap, because there are a lot of casual gamers who play GTA, Fortnite, and probably Red Dead Redemption more than Battlefield. So you would have to substantiate your claims with some sort of evidence or in regards to this. And not all Black Ops or Call of Duty players even like the Battlefield franchise. So again, because they're within shooters, they are completely different, and it's not necessarily true that Call of Duty players also buy Battlefield 5 or vice versa. You don't know that, and you would have to back this claim up in any regard. And I think from the evidence that I've seen, from the marketing, and from what they've said, it's and from just your comment section, people are just fed up, and that is evidence enough for me. When the majority of your comment section, and from what I've seen, it's people just they're fed up. They're fed up, and you can't excuse this by saying, "Oh, it's because of Red Dead Redemption." Every fall there are big games. And you can't just say, oh, because it's this fall, there are gonna be exception because it's Red Dead. there's always gonna be a game like Red Dead or competition in the fall. There's always competition. That's when most of the games come out, and people either buy what they find most interesting. Can you explain Battlefield 1 selling so well, even though it had massive competition? It didn't have Red Dead competition, but COD still came out, and other games that were shooters still came out that year. I mean, it's just it smells like it's shilling for EA. It really does.
But that is not happening. They know their audience. Call of Duty people don't come over to Battlefield 5. And with all these games coming out, these three plus those other major releases, plus I'm not even counting indie releases, people can't buy that many games per month. You're thinking the average, student, whether they're in high school or college, has maybe $60, maybe 2 games in a month, maybe if you're working really hard and you're doing other things. So what's that gonna be? $60? That's gonna be Red Dead Redemption. At least if I only bought one game, it's gonna be Red Dead Redemption 2. All right. So and I'm thinking that combined. So you've got those reasons. Is it because of the social justice warrior agenda? They're trying to put women in our games and they're trying to make us feel for females and have better representation in games. How dare they? This should be historically accurate. No women. Is that really the reason? No, I think, and yeah, that maybe people will. There are people out there that's like, I'm not going to give you $60 of my money until you take those women out, until you do it more historically accurate in your fictional stories. In the trailers, there's been women, and one of the war stories is going to feature a fictional story of a female resistance fighter. I will not pay you $60 till all that's out. In Battlefield 6, I better see no women. Then I'll give you my money. Do I think there are people like that? Yes, unfortunately, I do. But I don't give a shit. We've had World War II before, so when they come back to World War II, I was hoping for an alternate take, and they did one. But I think the reason is this one looks more like Call of Duty. This Battlefield looks more like Call of Duty than ever before, with these loud, crazy-ass trailers that make it look like Call of Duty set pieces, and the sort of cybernetic arms or robotic arms or whatever. They're doing this crazy customization thing. If you're going to do alternate World War history like that, you could have gone real alternate World War II, and that would have been crazy, like a Nazi invasion of the United States, some, maybe other countries getting involved, or the fight being a lot bigger in Africa or Australia. Who knows, or in the Pacific. It could have been crazy, but no, you're going this direction. So do I think there's lost sales over the whole politicized thing, right versus left, and right, being happy that the Swedish developers over there at DICE are eating their words? Yeah, I think a small bit of it, but I think it has to do more of the poorly timed release date. There are other just big boys fighting there for attention. I think that the really lack of marketing, good marketing for Battlefield 5 has really hurt it. And I think the general ill will towards EA, people are so sick of EA shit right now, especially coming off of Star Wars Battlefront 2. This is their major shooter coming off of that controversy. I think that has more to do with people, they're people are trying to lead you astray and drama whore and say this, see, this is why you should feel good. It's more,
Really? 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 Really?
oh, fuck EA, and those people are like, fuck EA. It's not fuck EA because women and because social justice warriors. Fuck EA because they tried to fuck me over. That's what I think it is. But maybe I'm wrong. So yeah, a few of you may celebrate this bad news for Battlefield, but I'm not. I'm certainly not celebrating. I don't like pre-ordering anyway, unless it's like I'm damn sure it's gonna be the damn good game. And I was really close with Battlefield 5. But and here's another reason. I don't think that Battlefield 5 has had an open beta yet. I could be wrong. I know I've played it because I got a key from my business management group. I think those latest ones have been closed alphas, and I think a lot of pre-orders come in when people actually get their hands on it and they play the new modes and they play the new feel of it. And, okay, well, yeah, let me put it down a pre-order. So I hate to see this happen because I thought this year the Battlefield 5 franchise would do really well. I don't think it has to do with the fact that this non-controversy of women being included. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. You guys give me your opinion. Do you think it is 100% because there's women in it, or do you think it has to do with more of those other things that we talked about? Let me know, guys. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. And if you're celebrating the lower sales on Battlefield, I mean, I can't stop you. It is EA, so it's like you want to celebrate that, but you don't. But me, as a Battlefield fan, it's like, damn it, you guys fucked this up. And so again, I'm mad at EA again. I just wish whoever replaces this Patrick Sutherland guy. I hope he's more, a guy for us, a gamer. Not going to happen. As I said that, not going to happen. But maybe there's a tiny hope that they'll learn from all this. I don't know. We'll see. Leave me your comment, and thank you so much. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you are wrong, and if you're against pre-orders and you're not even pre-ordering yourself, why does it matter? Why do you care what people are spending their money on? Because people don't want to buy this game for one reason or the other, and it is really interesting that on the tail end of this, you're saying, let me hear your guys' thoughts. Why are the comments being deleted? I would like to know the answer to that. You're saying it's not you or the moderators, but the comments are gone. It's very interesting. So you can't handle criticism from people because they disagree with you, even though you asked for the feedback. What the hell, Joe? What are you doing? And it's just baffling to me for a guy like Joe, who's I consider pretty high on the list, because even though I don't agree with his politics, he's been good in regards to his reviews and advocating for the consumer. But now he's just gone full Macintosh, and we're gonna continue with his other video, which he also recently released, and go through that one as well, because this is gonna be a long video. I'm just telling you guys, and it's just sad to see. It's really sad to see. Yeah, so just a small edit before I close this video. I've tried to render my entire video, which is about an hour long, but it seems my program keeps on crashing. So instead of going to the next video in the same in the same video, and I'm just gonna split them up into two parts and try to do it that way. So I don't know. Technology works in stupid ways sometimes, and the program which I've saved all my work on apparently doesn't want to corroborate with me, and so I have to split up into two parts, unfortunately. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the next part as well. Thank you very much.